My name is Erica Lorraine Spencer, and I remain subject to state surveillance and terrorism by the state of California that is operating a malicious targeting system which is referred to as federal group stalking and monitoring via communication devices. And it is in violation of federal stalking statute 18 U.S.C. sections 2261A subsections 1 and 2. My website and podcast serve the public good by publishing evidence of the public entity's ceaseless engagement in a pattern of conduct intended to stalk and monitor via communication devices, surveil, harass, and terrorize an American citizen in concert with the people of the state of California. Documentation serves the lawful purposes of wide exposure, federal prosecution, and influencing federal legislation with policies specifically designed to punish, dismantle, and disincentivize an unprecedented targeting system by a public entity that acts in concert with the people of the state in order to criminally place under surveillance and terrorize an American citizen, which is a matter of public corruption in the state of California.
XJS 717 and Metropolitan Transit Center is also a third-party bus number 703, Route 12 at 1300th Street. Stalking while the entity hovers in a helicopter. Okay, the hostile demons are stalking in helicopters. You'll see San Diego police crossing path there. It's unlawful conduct outside of your crime scene, which is literally a police department while the specific environment is present. And the entity crosses path as I capture that video. This third party, 8XJS 717, that's federal prison. This is what the entity does, engages in acts to its own demise, acts of retaliation, acts intended to intimidate, acts intended to threaten your safety. It's the highest threat, while demons are part of corrupt police departments who are conspiring to murder and kidnap you, engaging in federal group stalking and monitoring, masquerading as legitimate law enforcement agencies who control the narrative after you suffer harm, after you lose your life, after they're kidnapping you inside of any facility or jail, representing that they have the basis to do so under existing laws that they are abusing. That's a threat, and you go to federal prison for that. So the entity hovering in a helicopter, the San Diego Sheriff's Department is literally bragging about the helicopters that they use. What they're not telling you about is that they use them to engage in state surveillance. They use them to engage in threatening American citizens like myself who are enforcing my rights. The faces of these leaders of the San Diego Police Department and the San Diego Sheriff's Department, they are published on the Google Drive. They are corrupt leaders, and the heads of these departments are to be removed. And you're talking about permeating these corrupt actors. I literally captured the criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring standing at 1401 Broadway in San Diego, where there is no reconciling and no NASA employee, no scientist, no expert witness, in other words, can get on the stand in federal court and reconcile the specific environment with what the natural environment looks like, appears as, and what the people of the state are doing in that environment. It's all speaking to the pattern of conduct, the P.O.C, which is demonic. All right. And that's what no expert is also going to touch on. The fact that it's irreconcilable, that is confirming what it is that I'm telling you, giving you greater context. It's not that, it's just unnatural. This unnatural environment is demonic at its core. Corrupt law enforcement agencies who are stalking you and employing demonic methods to do so for the purposes of criminally defaming you and also psychologically torturing you. That's the basis for federal prison. So those who are stalking in helicopters, they are going to federal prison. It's going to be produced who is sitting in that helicopter. It's not going to be remaining a secret, a mystery whatsoever. And as I continuously document the people of the state who are group stalking with that entity in real time, you're talking about what is equally grounds of federal prison, because this is how the bullying system of federal group stalking works. All right. And so since that's what they engage in, these are the consequences that the entity will suffer accordingly. So it is currently 1:16 p.m. and I just want to document that that's, again, driving away from the crime scene where the San Diego Police Department are sitting, a corrupt law enforcement agency engaged in state surveillance, which they are not posting on their websites. They're not telling you anything about that, while they're taking pictures of babies, all right, and playing baseball with the neighborhood, with the kids. All right, they're group stalking with them. And pray tell, what is over their heads? What sunlight are they covered by while the lights are remaining over me in Los Angeles? Remaining over the Ovid Family Community Library. This is something that you are able to observe with your own eyes. I'm just prosecuting and exposing it. What has been in front of your face the entire time. All right. And so the entity wants to threaten my life while I expose it. I just want to be clear. That's corroborating evidence. I've already established my credibility. I don't have to make up the fact that police departments are stalking me in helicopters. That's exactly what I'm subject to. While 6CSJ235 remains a relevant position to me, stalking via traffic while the light source remains over me as I'm driving in traffic, and the entity hovers in a black helicopter. Okay. That's the P.O.C, and the entity knows exactly what I just captured on my cell phone. All of the entity does while they are still engaging in that criminal pattern of conduct. Just want to point that out. It's currently 1:17 p.m. and the light source is remaining over me at 4th Avenue and Broadway in San Diego, California. I'm looking at Gaslamp Fish House in San Diego. They're group stalking. Oxford International at 415 Broadway. Their group stalking is as Viridian Lofts, 1023 4th Avenue. That's the address where I'm at, where the light source is right over me. All right, federal prison for license 8WUH634, license 9KMD 876, and 9BNS 905. Group stalking with Harbor Police. Light activity under the fake sun with Harbor Police as well. 9GPF 166. That's federal prison. All right. Using a vehicle, just abandoning it, keeping it in the middle of the road while Southwest Airlines is hovering. Southwest Airlines has already shown the world that they are the ghetto of airlines. First of all. Second of all, they're engaged in state surveillance, and that's probably a large factor regarding their poor airline reputation. All right. They're engaging in state surveillance with the San Diego Harbor Police, who are group stalking under the fake sun. Now, that third party whose license I captured heavily in images, and as I do that, the demons start engaging what is more threatening conduct. Then you'll see a demon arriving in a police vehicle. Then you'll see a demon hovering in a commercial airline plane. Everybody's going to federal prison that I just documented. Every single last one. And the Southwest Airlines, like I said, is engaged in state surveillance throughout the entire state. In the country, they are engaged in federal stalking. They're crossing state lines using commercial airline planes, which are built to go across state lines while they're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring. They literally did that as a matter of evidence as I'm in California to Nevada. Okay. Southwest Airlines is speaking to what every single last business, every airline flying in and out of California is doing. Okay, so they're engaging the P.O.C. and you're talking about what is the ability to prosecute the airlines. You're talking about the federal government. If I need to be explicit, you're talking about raiding airports. You're talking about criminally and civilly prosecuting them. Your books that you maintain, your business records regarding who was flying what at what time in alignment with my documentation, all of them are assuming the feds are not already watching. You're talking about going to federal prison for stalking in a commercial airline plane with the police. And let me be clear, you don't even have to have a demon in a police vehicle. That's terrorizing in and of itself, that there are psychopaths that are stalking you in commercial airline planes. That psychological torture, that criminal conduct in and of itself is designed to place such animals in federal prison. And that's what Southwest Airlines is fully documented for years engaging in. They're terrorists, and that's also why the federal government is going to, you're talking about removing the ability to get a license and revoking such licensure from the corrupt entity that's going to be prosecuted. And it's going to start with those that are affiliated with all of these airports in the state of California. I'm not laughing because it's funny. I'm laughing because this is how the entity you're talking about, under no circumstances avoiding, very severe and directly addressing the criminal system. And so you're talking about the entity engaging in that. And so that was ambush conduct with San Diego Harbor Police. That's a communication of a threat. And the third party, who I'm capturing in images in a silver SUV, the license started with 9BNS. They're going to federal prison in addition to everyone else. But that's the third party that's engaging in molesting me with engineered light while Southwest Airlines crosses path. I captured a series of images of the specific environment and the license plates, and there arrives the demons who are always stalking. They come out, the cockroaches come out from the crevices as I document somebody that they cannot protect, and while they put themselves in federal prison as I get their name, or their license plates in other words. But that entire police department is speaking to what is criminal conduct. So this is how an entity, again, you're talking about an endless pit of consequences, and the state can't help the people, and the people cannot help the state at all. So that's the context regarding what I just documented, and the entity does so while they are hostile to being documented while engaging in the P.O.C. I just captured the specific environment at the San Diego Police Department. All right, which again, you're dealing with demons. You're dealing with mentally ill who want to go around playing cops and robbers, and they don't want you to interfere with the system that they have in operation. Okay, Satan doesn't like that. I care not about what Satan likes or what Satan wants. That's not why I'm doing what I'm doing. The entity is engaging in a conduct which is a threat to your life. 9JXZ014 and 59757N3 crossing path right now. The entity does so engaging in a criminal pattern of conduct that is conspiring to murder and kidnap you while they want to play cops and robbers. That's what federal group stalking and monitoring is, to put it in short. All right, so while the entity engages in that sort of ambush conduct threatening me, you're going to federal prison. And I believe there are minor children in the vehicle with that third party, starting with the license plate 9BNS. And you're group stalking and terrorizing someone, doing so with a corrupt law enforcement agency, engaged in federal stalking. The mind state of a group stalker is a threat to children. So you're talking about removal from access to such children. And while you are aware of the fact of what I'm documenting about you, and then you engage in more heightening the threat level. In other words, you're talking about what is inevitable time in federal prison and removal from the children that you are in any way connected to, have custody over, exercise control over, etc. So I want to make sure I expose that. I'm at Sports Arena and Enterprise Street. Pacific Highway is what I'm looking at. Sports Arena is across the street. License plate. Let me get this license plate before this third party comes up. License 7JBE060. AT&T, a documented group stalker using a commercial vehicle to engage in federal stalking and group stalking. You've got a driver and a passenger. This is a white pickup truck number 1008615-119, and the license plate is 80811S2, and 60777E2, and license plate 8CZF627, license plate 9FCG087, and I am, looks like, well, not like that. I think I'm looking at Interstate 8 is what I want to say. But nonetheless, it's at Pacific Highway and Enterprise Street, like I stated, and I'm going to capture the light source over me right now. I want to make sure that I give context regarding the images that I captured, and then the entity immediately heightens threat level while I'm dealing with a population that's conspiring to murder and kidnap me, while you're keeping me under surveillance for no legitimate reason whatsoever, and you're a bunch of mentally ill demons, okay? So that's a threat. Then the entity wants to group stalk directly. So you see the state acting via the corrupt police departments. That's a threat to your life. And that's directly communicated by the people and the state. And the state, being a criminal, has no authority, nor do the people of the state have any authority to threaten you, because that's what that is. And that's exactly how you're analyzing that, because that's exactly what's going on. So you're going to federal prison for that. So you have the people of the state engaging in conduct that is just absurdly lawless, okay? And outright disregard for the human lives of another, for the constitutional rights, for the dignity of another, all right? And so it's 1:31 p.m. and I'm going to capture the specific environment which remains over me while I'm riding on the roads and the highways in San Diego, California, San Diego County. San Diego's a group stalker. So if you have high thoughts about San Diego and the people in San Diego and the type of money that is in San Diego, there are a bunch of Satan-serving minions in San Diego. And I can say that categorically. I can actually say that it's a fact. I'm showing you the scientific impossibility. And there is, with regard, no ignorant engagement in the pattern of conduct in this specific environment. If I go to anyone's address in San Diego, California, the specific environment is over my head. The specific environment is remaining at all times. And so that is what's going on throughout the entire state of California. And any exceptions that you have in your mind, that is between you and yourself. I'm serving for what is a prosecution. And this is entirely out of the pit of hell. So this is revealing what is unmistakable. It's demonic, and let me be clear, not just bad. This is relevant to what is demon possession. Okay. And this is speaking to what is criminal conduct by a corrupt government that's acting with the people, public corruption of a demonic nature. Something that's never, ever been prosecuted, something that's never been spoken of in the light. Okay. And that's because you have people that don't survive it who are in my position. And then you have those that are part of it that are they will never speak of what they're engaging. Never. They will never speak of it. And this has been going on for ages. License plate 23034Y3, a sex offender. Brian Cox Mechanical, molest me with engineer light. A service logic company. They are a demon-possessed, corrupt company engaged in state surveillance and federal stalking in violation of Title 18. And they're group stalking with Metropolitan Transit Center, Route 8, bus number 725, license 1495400. And crossing path with AJMS. That's a license plate. AJMS on a white Tesla, crossing path at Pacific Highway and Taylor Street / Rosecrans Street. I'm going to get the light source right now. This is P.O.C. at 133. 9BAJ 658, 9JLA 458, I believe. B. Hold on 1 second. Oh, Brinks is group stalking. You already know that. 8HRK741. And that's a basis for federal prison. Brinks, they bear weapons while they're engaging in what is their job, which is supposed to be moving money. They're supposed to be doing something important. They're engaged in federal stalking and state surveillance in the state of California. And that's a basis for federal prison. And I've documented many of Brinks engaging in group stalking, terrorizing via directed light, which I expounded upon that in LA, where you had a Brinks employee, Brinks driver, while they're bearing weapons. That's the highest threat again. The entity engages in conduct which is highly malicious. So you are engaging in conduct. The people of the state are right now walking across the street, engaging in state surveillance with the government in open, just plain view, masquerading as free conduct. All right, this prosecution is going to change all of that. It's changing the landscape of what the entity is doing in the country, and the feds being able to recognize it. So you're doing the same thing when you're in some sort of execution of your job, your duty. You're talking about a corrupt company. They're monitoring you, and they're looking as though they're focused on their job, moving money, and they have guns on their waists. Okay, you're talking about all manner of facts that can be created, if you will. That's a threat to the target individual who's seeing nothing other than somebody else that's monitoring them, doing something to them, even though they're looking as though they're focused on their job. They're engaged in the same exact criminal activity. And you are analyzing the threat based on the appearance, the behavior, what the entity is doing. And while you're bearing weapons, that's relevant to the threat posed while you're group stalking. All right. And so you're already posing a threat. Remember, the people of the state that are walking a dog while you're group stalking, it's not based on, because it's not an individualized crime. They represent a population, and the population engages in very highly passive aggressive, which is psychotic. So you're looking at what was designed to appear as though it's natural and normal and disarming, and it's not. A bunch of mentally ill psychopaths are focused on you while they maintain a passive aggressive stance. That, contrary to what the entity sought to create, which is the reality of a paranoid schizophrenic, criminal summoning. All right, I'm gonna document the people right now. Cintas, heavily documented criminal actor, stalking in the path of light activity. Let me show you. This is P.O.C. All right, documenting substantial video of the demons driving the San Diego Police Department at 1:48 p.m. They are group stalking in traffic with the rest of the people of the state. And this is how you're recognizing what is so tragic about the criminal system of federal group stalking and monitoring, because it really takes away all sense of professionalism, of honor, of dignity, of the duty that law enforcement agencies are supposed to have. They are placed at the same exact level as any other demon that you would consider to be corrupt, that you would consider to be bankrupt of any morality, literally vacant of any sense of ethics. That's what group stalking reveals. And you have what is literally just demons that are sitting in a police vehicle, who are criminals, who are engaging in criminal activity. And they're not different from the rest of the criminals that are stalking in traffic, in the same exact environment, the same exact demonic behavior with regard to the light source, presence, light activity, while they use a police vehicle to demonstrate their demon possession. The public corruption. This is shameful criminal activity with the very constituents of the state. And they reveal the fact that they're demons. That's what I captured on video. So San Diego Police, at license 1589249, they're filled with two male officers. I believe they are Latino males. Nonetheless, it's captured on video, and they are group stalking with the third party who was in the commercial vehicle, group stalking. That's federal prison all the way around. This is exactly what you saw Arcadia police engaging in under the fake sun that's supposedly setting in Arcadia. That was a crime scene. License 7CFF182, 9GQT214, group stalking with San Diego police at the traffic light. And this is the basis for federal prosecution. License 9FPN359, CGW1256. That's the state acting vicariously. San Diego Police is the state acting directly. 7WKL990, 8VOY251, 8VOM500, 9CYB292, 7SLB262, 9LRW368, and at Garnet Avenue and Mission Bay Drive at 1:50 p.m., where I'm documenting the Los Angeles Police Department, for example, stalking me in a helicopter as I leave from Alvarado Gardens and I go to 1600 Vermont Avenue in Los Angeles, where the entity engaged in flying in circles, doing donuts above my bank where I'm a patron, speaking to my private information with my bank being public information because they're group stalking me there. And there is no sky space and no possibility that this was nothing other than the crime scene, where the entity is engaged in what is criminal summoning as opposed to the execution of their duty, enforcing laws that they actually have authority under while they're engaging in a traffic stop, where you're looking at demons engaging in demonic activity, maintaining presence around the perimeter. Okay, they're in the back alley in relevant position to where I'm traveling and to the hotel room where I'm located, Fairfield Inn by Marriott. And you also know that because the fake sun, the light source, which is not possibly the sun that's over me at Los Angeles when I'm going to the Chase Bank in LA, when I'm remaining at Alvarado Gardens, when I'm at Courtyard by Marriott in Monrovia, where I'm at the Ovid Family Community Library, where I'm at the Fontana Lewis Library at 1:17 p.m. and the Fontana Police Department are group stalking at 1:45. It's 1:51 p.m. At 1:45 p.m., I'm at the Fontana Police Department, and the lights are just directly over the top of my head. In the same manner, where I'm showing you how demons engage in public corruption, masquerading as law enforcement agencies, having authority that they don't have, when they're actually together targeting another person. This unheard of, highly psychotic, malicious system of targeting another is posing a threat to that target individual who is aware of it and who is documenting it. Those two demons are a part of a whole demon-infected agency. That is the San Diego Police Department. And as the fake sun is over me at 1401 Broadway, those demons are stalking on the roads and highways, and they are not distinct. They're going to federal prison because they wear badges while engaging in state surveillance and federal stalking. And the people of the state are going to federal prison for group stalking with the state, who cannot protect them. That's what I just captured, and every third party that I just captured, group stalking via traffic like they always are. These are the same demons molesting with engineered light. These are the same demons that are group stalking at the California DMV and Impossible Lights moving all over across the Glendale DMV. These are the same demons driving in and out of Alvarado Gardens and engineered lights moving all across. That's never occurring. That's demonic on its face. That's the population that they're sitting in traffic with, wearing badges, being cloaked in what is some sort of superficial veil of authority they don't actually have. Satan gave it to them, and they are fired. They're going to federal prison for what I just documented on video. That is a tutorial for recognizing how public corruption, where federal group stalking and monitoring is underway, it is literally occurring in your face, where you are looking at the fictitious exercise of authority. You're recognizing the specific environment. You're recognizing the elements of monitoring. And you are also aware of the mentally ill, the mind state, the deranged mind state, where you are engaging in that conduct at this point in the evidence. At this point, you are psychotic and delusional to continuously engage in it. And you're not just doing it before me. I'm going to drag you and prosecute you, and the world is going to witness it, because you will be subject to mental examinations. That's what group stalking reveals is absolutely needed. All right. You have the mentally ill that are sitting as police chiefs. You have the mentally ill that are making up police departments. You have them being surrounded by evidence, and then they're still engaging in chasing you down, because that's exactly what you're doing, engaged in criminal summoning and relevant positioning, while I go down a back alley and I'm capturing the elements of monitoring, and it's nothing but that. You can bring evidence of your ticket. It's criminal conduct with regard to criminal summoning. And who are they pulling over? The same demons who are stalking in the path with engineered light, molesting my person, amplifying the sound of their traffic on a 210 freeway when I'm inside of the hotel. Yeah, that's who's getting a traffic ticket. They're going to federal prison. It's the people of the state and the state itself who are stalking in helicopters. The criminal enterprise is acting as one when you witness that, what I just captured on video. The San Diego Police Department, if you're not convinced by the video that I captured in front of their headquarters at 1 p.m. at 1401 South Broadway, their criminal engagement in what is an iteration of the P.O.C. It's called criminal summoning. They are demonstrating, they're literally going through all of the elements of monitoring, revealing to the world that they serve Satan and that they are well beyond their date of expiration. They need to, by expiration, I'm not speaking of death. I'm speaking of what is the death of their career in law enforcement. However, they're done with law enforcement. They're going to federal prison. That's the very tactics that they employ to stalk American citizens, to target them. Everywhere that you're going, you're seeing police, even if they're not pulling you over, even if they're not addressing you, and they increase in their aggression. That's aggression in the specific environment. Seeing them everywhere, they're bearing weapons when you're seeing them everywhere. And they're doing so, again, while they're aware of what I'm documenting. What was I speaking of? Speaking of Brinks, bearing weapons, group stalking. That's the people of the state that are engaging in what is supposed to be their job, and they're not. They're simultaneously group stalking you. You go to federal prison as a Brinks employee, in other words, based on how they engage in group stalking. All right. And you're also understanding that same entity that's engaging in what is that psychotic pattern of conduct, the people of the state who want to be seen walking a dog or pushing a stroller while they're engaged in the conspiracy to murder and kidnap you. OK, that contrary to what Satan thought was going to be something singularly maintained by somebody who's a paranoid schizophrenic. Because the people are just minding their business. They don't even know the target individual. I'm pushing a baby, for goodness sake. Okay, this person is crazy. That's supposed to be the criminal defamation of the target individual. Contrary to that, it is entirely terrorizing while you have a bunch of demons, and now you know what they are. They're demons, and they're openly stalking. So now you're going to, in hindsight, look back at what the pattern of conduct is supposed to look like. That is terrorizing. They're supposed to maintain this passive aggressive stance, ignorant even about you, strangers who are stalking you, and you're not supposed to be aware of the engineered light. You're not supposed to be aware of the light source. You're not supposed to be aware of the amplified audible activity. You're not supposed to be aware of the ways in which they're pacing all around you. How it's not based on any sense of chronology. I was at the facilitating venue first, and so I'm not stalking. This is a highly unintelligent, unsophisticated system that was unprepared for exposure and a prosecution. Okay, that's what that's based on. And everybody that I documented with regard to that video and what I documented at the beginning of this excerpt of the P.O.C. Right now it's 1:56 p.m. starting when I'm reciting the time and I'm at the traffic light and I'm reading the Demons license plate of the San Diego Police Department. They're all every single last one's going to federal prison. All right, but I want to be clear: San Diego police are group stalking right now. They're stalking in helicopters. They're stalking vicariously through demons who are crawling in commercial airline planes. That's the vicarious conduct. San Diego police group stalk directly, showing the world how they're demons, they're Satan-serving criminals, they're corrupt, in other words, and their engagement in their engagement in federal group stalking monitoring criminal activity, license 9DHV036, group stalking with the other demon that's molesting, terrorizing with directed light. They're the same entity. So the entity is engaging in this criminal pattern of conduct in doing so while the entity is maintaining vicarious conduct. That's what the people of the state represent. This isn't traffic. The fake sun is remaining over my head in San Diego. The whole system is exposed. So you're talking about what is intolerable? It's intolerable group stalking with the police. You're going to federal prison for that. It's intolerable to maintain ongoing surveillance on behalf of the police and the sheriff's department. You're going to federal prison for that. It's intolerable to be in any of those positions, a sheriff's office or a police department stalking, because that's what you're doing. You're going to federal prison. And you're talking about facts and circumstances substantiating disbanding, substantiating what is, you're not going to be treated differently. If you're going to be deported, if you're engaging in this criminal system, any part of these terrorist organizations, because San Diego Police Department's not a law enforcement agency, that's a terrorist organization. And the more that I speak to the truth about what Satan is doing amongst these minions, the more hostility is exhibited. Okay, so that's what I'm speaking to, and that's also built into the P.O.C. That's why you have such an intense prosecution, but it's also because this is a criminal system that's designed to result in the loss of life. It's designed to result in kidnapping by a corrupt government that doesn't have authority under the law to prosecute. You don't have authority under the law to take the liberty of any American citizen. They're masquerading as having authority that they don't have while they're engaging in criminal surveillance in violation of the existing constitutions, state and federal. All right, while they're engaged in state surveillance online. So the corrupt government knows that you're documenting them, and they continue. Those are fools, in other words, that I just captured on video, and both of them, the duo's going to federal prison. Okay, the entity is engaging in that with the people of the state, and so they're going to federal prison. Every license plate that I documented in the video and on this podcast. Okay, so I just want to make sure that I reiterate that. It's currently 1:59 p.m. The entity's keeping a fake sun over me, and what I was speaking to is the maintenance of this light source. It's at or around the same time when I was traveling in Los Angeles, remaining at Alvarado Gardens, working and living there, and there's no provision for the sun to ever be anywhere near where San Diego police are located, and you see the light source directly over my head. That's how you're recognizing what demons are doing and who they're doing it to. The fact that they're demon possessed is legally relevant. They are, in other words, legally referred to as the demon possessed in California. They're engaged in state surveillance. This is domestic terrorism, but you're documented as what is a state actor within a criminal pattern of conduct. All the people of the state are third parties who act both using their own, whatever they have at their disposal. This third party, 8FKB817, is using their own vehicle to engage in the federal group stalking and monitoring. Criminal presence in the path, light activity, using their foot, taking it on and off the brakes is light activity. Moving around, which is under the fake sun that's directly over my head, is creating light activity, which is a criminal act. They have no constitutional protections whatsoever, and they're doing it on behalf of the government, which is maintaining presence. Stalking using helicopters, stalking amongst police departments and sheriff's departments, which is the well-identified pattern of conduct by the state. And it's all demonic. All right, so you're talking about these state actors, as I've already stated, deportation as applicable amongst the state actors. You're talking about permanent removal from law enforcement. There is no place within the United States jurisdiction that they will ever be a part of law enforcement. They were not able to bear any weapons. You're talking about the ways in which these corrupt law enforcement agencies, these terrorist organizations, are going to be stripped down. Okay, stripped down from any and all fictitious exercise of authority and any ability to go to any other state and practice, be engaged in law enforcement. You're done. You're also going to be listed as a terrorist, so you're not even going to be able to do that. So I'm just pointing that out. But nonetheless, you're not going to be treated because you're not different from this demon, this third party 8FKB817. The only difference between those demons and that San Diego police vehicle is that the fact that those demons they pose an even higher threat because they are bearing weapons. And so they're not only threatening your life, conspiring to murder and kidnap you, they will then engage in exercising authority that they don't have under the law, already group stalking you, and then masquerading as though they have authority to exercise right under probable cause, reasonable suspicion, to arrest you as the facts and circumstances. They're stalking delusional psychopaths. That's why. It is intolerable. You're documented group stalking, you're going to federal prison as with regard to state actors, period. Okay, so it is currently 2:01 p.m. and that iteration of the P.O.C. I captured. It's both on video and on podcasts. As they then sit at the traffic light group stalking with the people of the state, and that what is so shameful about what the state is engaging in. Absolutely, the absence of any sort of authority or whatever. They are totally shown in the shameful position that they stand in. What they do in the dark is now known in their own directed light. Their demonic condition and the fact that you're a bunch of demons is relevant. The demon possessive they've shown are sex offenders that have not been convicted under natural law. Okay, that does not mean that they're not sex offenders. They're engaging in what are demonic methods of violating your person, violating your privacy, engaging in predatory conduct, sexually motivated in nature, while it's criminal surveillance for no legitimate purpose. Okay, these are sex offenders that are literally ticking time bombs, walking around without a criminal record. Okay, the federal prosecution of the people of the state and the state of California is going to rectify that. Okay, it is currently, again, 2:02 p.m. So I needed to go through all that because the entity is maintaining the fake sun over me while San Diego police make a turn on the street. They're still group stalking. They are acting through the entire population. This just happens to be in San Diego County, showing you what is the entire state's criminal pattern of conduct, which is unmistakable. As I travel outside of the state lines, that's exactly what the Nevada State Police were engaged in. It's exactly what the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department are engaged in. Okay, and so they're doing so, and I want to make sure that I capture and specifically reference the corrupt government actors who are going to be removed from the positions that they hold. And it includes the corrupt government actor based on the pattern of conduct that the San Diego Police Department are engaged in, Scott Wall, who is the current chief of police as of June 7, 2024. And so it needs to be noted, the chief of police immediately preceding this state actor, whose corrupt leadership is the product of federal group stalking and monitoring. You're talking about this criminal system seamlessly underway without any hiccups. That's not a coincidence. That's not ignorantly underway. You are not merely derelict. You are not derelict on the job whatsoever with regard to ignorance about the criminal activity that San Diego Police Department is engaging in. You're fully engaged in it. It's occurring on your watch. Okay? You serve the same a demonic entity, if you will. Scott Wall, I just want to let you know about his secrets. I don't have to know this person. This person serves Satan, and this is why Scott Wall is in this position. Scott Wall is meeting the demise of his career in law enforcement. He's going to be removed, and his criminal conduct while leading a corrupt terrorist organization masquerading as a law enforcement agency with authority that they don't have under the law, conspiring to murder and kidnap American citizens while you're group stalking them with the very people of the state, engaging in using what should be your authority under the law, your position as law enforcement agencies, but you're engaging in abusing that, engaging in what is the most, it's an abomination with regard to law enforcement. It's criminal summoning, and they want to look like they're engaging in a traffic stop. It's pathetic. It's pathetic. While together, both the traffic stopper and the traffic stoppee are group stalking the targeted individual. This is something outside of the P.O.C. that no one would ever even entertain or listen to. This is beyond a reasonable doubt with regard to what the state of California is engaging in. And Scott Wall is going to be removed from the position that he currently has, threatening the lives of American citizens, engaging in criminal surveillance with the people of the state. And this is a Satan-serving minion, and that's why he's sitting in that position. That's why this criminal system is occurring on his watch. And it is disgusting. That's why you can hear it in my voice. He is not different from Dominic Choi. He's not different from Alan Senvictorous. This is a statewide pattern of conduct, and it's impossible to participate in a pattern of conduct ignorantly or coincidentally. I'm showing you what is a state full of corrupt government actors, and they are to be literally systematically plucked out. All right, it is currently 2:05 p.m. Scott Wall. And this is not the only corrupt government actor. The corrupt government actor over the corrupt sheriff's department, stalking in helicopters, for example, telling the public and even gloating on the internet, on their website, where they're providing a series of admissions that they're flying their helicopters under a fake sun. That's nowhere near where I'm documenting the P.O.C. All right, so this is Kelly A. Martinez. This is the San Diego sheriff. She's corrupt, and she's fully engaged in the state's pattern of conduct. And this is speaking to the same exact condition. Let me be clear. This is demonic. I am not being hyperbolic. I'm not just going around calling people demons just willy-nilly. This is a demonic criminal pattern of conduct. This is occurring because Satan is the one that is animating people. This is rooted in demon possession. Satan has strategically placed people in positions in order that this system can go on in the state of California, in this nation. And it's criminal. So you're talking about what is the perfect storm for exposing and prosecuting Satan in a way in which it is occurring literally in the natural. But this is judgment. So you're talking about the combination of a skill set, okay? Spiritual discernment in addition to a legal skill set, to put it in simple terms, but it's beyond that. This is criminal conduct by the government. And Satan has people such as Kelly A. Martinez. She's a corrupt sheriff. She's corrupt. And every demon affiliated with the Los Angeles, but she's over San Diego. With the San Diego County Sheriff's Department, this is their problem. This is the root cause of their corruption, and they're fully engaged in the state's pattern of conduct, while the entity is stalking in planes and helicopters, engaging in criminal acts such as criminal summoning, while the people of the state are a bunch of demons stalking in the parking lot at the hotel where the fake sun remains over me. It is the entire pattern of conduct. And so you're recognizing immediately those who are to be immediately plucked out of the positions where they hold place for Satan to engage in this, conspiring to murder and kidnap American citizens. And it's straight out of hell. All right. And it's criminal. It's not something that you're going to deal with in the church. You're going to deal with it under the law. OK, it's going to be dealt with under federal law. There are consequences for what the entity is doing. And it is captured. It is surrounded by the evidence in which is beyond a reasonable doubt. You are fully engaged in that statewide P.O.C. And that's what I'm establishing as I go to San Diego, California, capturing what is impossible that the sun would ever be, and exactly what it is. Not just in San Diego, but it's directly over my head in San Diego, replete with what is engineered light. All right. And then the entity is engaging what is a traffic stop and what is over my head while you're engaging in a traffic stop. That's giving context to what's actually going on. Those are demons using a police vehicle to create light activity, just like the demons do using their commercial vehicles where they want to be seen appearing in the natural as delivering a package. Those demons, including FedEx, they're creating light activity under a fake sun that's over my head, where it remains at whatever location I'm at until the end of the day, to the exclusion to Los Angeles when I'm in Los Angeles. So then how do you have the sun in San Diego? Because it's not occurring when I'm standing at my front door of my apartment in Los Angeles at 1806 North Alvarado Street. That's how you know what's wrong with Kelly A. Martinez. She's of the same condition. This demonic system is occurring because she serves the same demonic entity, and it's criminal. She's going to serve consequences for that. All right. The entity is doing so with regard to the public corruption that is underway, while they abuse the ability to, they abuse and misuse the helicopters that they have, that they brag about on their website. And you're looking at them providing what is the legitimate purposes for what a sheriff's department having lawful authority. That's what they should be using them for. But you need to know they're actually using them to terrorize, just like you saw the Los Angeles Police Department doing. That's what they're not telling you about, as they're misusing helicopters to terrorize and psychologically torment American citizens and the people of the state as I document them. And it's not limited to the demons whose license plate that I see in front of my face, because they're surrounding in all the businesses and all of the third-party facilitating venues where the people of the state live. And this federal prosecution, federal prison is going to go beyond what I'm documenting by myself. The federal government's ongoing knowledge, I'm just going to say it's supplemental, and I'm going to leave it at that. The entity is engaging in conduct to its own detriment. You are surrounded by evidence. You will be answering for what you've been doing for a very long time. And this public corruption has very serious consequences. It's currently 2:10 p.m. and the fake sun remains over me while the entity is listening to me document as I drive around. And you know that because the fake sun is remaining over me while I'm driving around in San Diego, California. All right, so you have a bunch of psychopaths who are going in a frenzy while they're listening to what they cannot stop, and that's justice, that's exposure. And the more that they engage in that criminal system, it's just speaking to how much that's going to intensify for them. Okay, it's going to intensify for them. It is currently 2:10 p.m. and this is P.O.C. Let me document 8LTB207, 8HZM889, demonic pacing. I'm at Shopping Center Driveway and Balboa Avenue in San Diego, where the fake sun is directly over me. At 5522 Balboa Avenue, this is the Wells Fargo. They're group stalking. And you know that, the Wells Fargo at the Ovid Family Community Library, where it's over the top of my head, at Euclid Avenue and C Street in Ontario, California. This Wells Fargo in San Diego County has nothing in common with the sky space. It's impossible at any time of the day that the sun would be. And this is how you're going to use the evidence. This is not rocket science. It's demonic. It's malice of a government that's targeting American citizens. And those who have lost their lives, those who are sitting around kidnapped right now, that's why you're going to federal prison. That's why you're going to be published, maintained by the DOJ as the terrorist that you are. The terrorist that you are. All right. It's currently, again, 2:11 p.m. and this is P.O.C. All right, documenting the P.O.C, and I want to make sure I document those who are engaged in the sexual violence at the same corporate actor, MARRIOTT Bonvoy, but this is FAIRFIELD by MARRIOTT, who's going to compensate and also criminally prosecuted. The employees are going to federal prison. You saw them engaging in the P.O.C, and they're engaging in the P.O.C while demons are surrounding the venue, engaging in that sexual violence and impossible, meaning demonic methods of what is criminal surveillance in concert with the San Diego Sheriff's Department and the San Diego Police Department. That's license 8ZUN317, who's captured on video, license 9BIS065, who's captured on video, license 25857X2, who's also captured on video, and the demon who's group stalking outside of my hotel room this morning, where the lights, as you can see, the moon in perfect alignment with my hotel room while he's group stalking using that vehicle with the Sukut, S-U-K-U-T. That's license 92554D3. This is the same environment where that's the moon in alignment to me, and also you have the fake sun in alignment to me, and he's group stalking with the people of the state. A bunch of demons who are on surveillance cameras, whose criminal engagement by virtue of their identification, their payment methods, their presence on surveillance cameras is going to be used to prosecute, and you're removing their minor children. That's what I'm pointing out. That's what is crucial to the prosecution as I'm documenting it right now. The children are literally an integral aspect of what they're doing with regard to murdering, conspiring to murder and kidnap someone, which is what federal group stalking and monitoring is. All right, Sukut, license number 985106, and the license plate is 92554D3. Group stalking with the patrons who are pacing in and out, pacing under the light source that's still over the same venue, where the entity has the moon at night, and this is the light source, which is not the sun during the day, speaking to the federal stalking and criminal surveillance that commercial actor is engaging in. Doing so in a sexually violent manner, keeping a woman under surveillance in a hotel room, and engaging in federal stalking, continuously doing so while that documentation is being gathered. So I just want to make sure this is what I'm capturing on video, and license plate 9LRR364 is also group stalking. The entity maintaining light activity in the parking garage while this third party who's on video is engaging in surveillance by stalking under the fake sun and just standing around in the parking garage. None of this is lawful presence. None of this is lawful. It's on behalf of the corrupt government. The San Diego police is going to be prosecuted. You're talking about federal prison for the duo that I just captured, but this is what the Sheriff's Department and the corrupt police departments rely on, and it's vicarious conduct on behalf of that corrupt state. So the entity is openly communicating a threat. The entity which is commercially engaged in it, FAIRFIELD by MARRIOTT, and right now I'm just breaking down the crime scene because this is the basis for civil and criminal prosecutions. The Courtyard by MARRIOTT, FAIRFIELD by MARRIOTT, Town Place Suites by MARRIOTT. This is the same corporate headquarters in Bethesda. This is MARRIOTT Bonvoy is fully engaged in state surveillance, and that's how I'm able to capture, even as I go across state lines, the same pattern of conduct. And MARRIOTT Bonvoy represents what every business in California is engaged in. Every single last one. Okay, so I'm just speaking to the P.O.C and the basis of recovery for state surveillance, facilitation of state surveillance, federal stalking, and also the impermissible threat. This is relevant to also RICO charges. And it's not just that, it's also going down to, you saw United Rentals, you saw Sukut. They're engaging in stalking and using a commercial means to do so. That is an absurd level of malice, and it is a basis of federal prison, especially while, again, the entity keeps them under surveillance while they're witnessing their exposure. They know when their license plates are red. They engage in ongoing monitoring. As I walk around from one place to get the direct light to get the fake sun, you're hearing the demon license 8ZUN317 calling out to this third party who's using the Sukut vehicle. They're best buds now. Hey, what are you doing? The use of their voice is audible activity while they're still engaging in the P.O.C, aware of the fact that they're being documented. That impunity, those are threats to children. Okay, you're talking about making the wrong move. The people of the state are the ones that are harming each other, shooting up venues, blowing up people, engaging in what is harming children, sacrificing children, raping. The people of the state do that. So the people of the state, these demons are mothers and fathers, and they're employing them in the pattern of conduct. The people of the state that I just documented, again, 8ZUN317, not only is that a basis of federal prison, they are losing custody of their children, the impunity with which they employed them right now on video to engage in that, conspiring to murder and kidnap another, doing so relentlessly. That's exactly what I want the federal courts to be mindful of. You can see it yourself. I'm providing ongoing real-time narration and analysis because that is exactly what you're going to remember when demons who are psychopaths are acting with impunity now and pleading for mercy later. It's not mercy that they deserve, and they're not going to get it because the entity has no mercy for that targeted individual. There are people, like I said, who are dead right now, who kill themselves for much less because of this psychological torture that the entity engages in. All right. And so the entity that wants to engage in stalking at a hotel on behalf of a corrupt law enforcement agency whose demon possession is fully exposed while they engage in the criminal summoning with these very demons. This is who San Diego police is pulling over. They're pulling over these demons. And so they're engaging the P.O.C, and that's what I documented on video. And you'll see a large puddle of engineered light, if you will, appearing on the wall in the parking structure. And then while they're driving on the outside of the parking structure, the shadow of their vehicles, which is a method of crossing paths with engineered light. The same exact demonic pattern of conduct. That's why the entire venue was documented last night on podcast. Every single last one, a documented terrorist. They can go wherever they want. That federal prosecution is going to reach out and touch them. They will be listed as terrorists in the U.S. Engineer light moving across the venue, and I'm going to document every third party because the neighboring venue right next to, adjacent to, matter of fact, let me document the light space, right adjacent to the FAIRFIELD by Marriott is fully engaged in the P.O.C. and engineer lights appearing in the parking structure while a demon at the neighboring property is driving outside. Okay, license 7HJF767, license 8WTY691, 9DMW779, 9KZV011, license 7SEM385, and they're all a part of the sex offense that I just documented on video that they're all engaging in while I remain in the hotel room. License 8BDS792, license 8K, hold on. Emerald Cab, that's a commercial actor, their group stalking license 00980, little letters DLR on the side of that. It's a California plate though. 8MTD586 and 8RKH198, 6KLR961. They're all a part of the same pattern of conduct. They're adjacent, in other words, in relevant position, just like Silverview Townhomes, while the entity kept the fake sun over my apartment at Alvarado Gardens, which the entity is doing so with minor children, making them sex offenders, making them terrorists, making them group stalkers, while you're employing them, and you are demonstrating to the federal government that they need to promptly be removed from your custody. That's what, again, third party 8ZUN317 represents and engaged in on video with knowledge. A blatant disregard for keeping her children. That's what that shows. And no one's going to miss that. Okay, so the entity is engaging in this, and this impossible light activity is captured on video. The sex offense committed by 25857X2 is immediately followed by license 9BIS D65. 9BIS 065, and then 8ZUN317 in custody of children in doing so. And license RTY 091, that's New Mexico, 7AOF 015, SRG 0648. Many of these I documented last night, and I believe, I recollect correctly, these are all the exact same license plates. So you're going to reference the podcast from last night, which was August 19, 2024, upon my arrival. So this is the same P.O.C. The entity is engaging in vacillating specific actors within the same entity. So you're talking about a different name, different face, the same criminal system. The same exact criminal system. So you're understanding what is state surveillance, in other words, what's domestic terrorism while an entity does so. Because the specific environment remains, and the entity is engaging in just cycling in new demons, engaging in the same demonic behavioral pattern, which again, the engineered light that you saw at Courtyard by Marriott in Monrovia, under the shaded structure, under the fake sun. The engineered light that you saw inside of the Town Place Suites by Marriott in Monrovia, California, the impossible light activity, my upright shadow inside of the lobby, and the fake sun is over the building outside. Absolutely impossible, speaking to the demonic. Okay, this is speaking to state surveillance, federal stalking, and they're also doing so. You saw the impossible light activity inside of the Best Western, while the fake sun is over the entrance of that hotel. You've got a pattern of what is the same environment, and the entity does so with impunity, repeating the sex offense while they listen to me speak to that. Okay, United Rentals is the actor. They engage in acts of retaliation. 3535675 United Rentals. You're talking about engaging in years of state surveillance. They're entirely illegitimate. They stalk on the sides of freeways. They're not changing the subject. You're talking about companies being prosecuted as sex offenders and being listed as terrorists by the DOJ. And remember the timing. They commit that act of terrorism via directed light while I'm speaking to the multiple venues, hotels, who inside they have placements of impossible light activity. That's facilitation. And it's also speaking to those are demons that work at that hotel, demons that own these businesses. And it's impossible that that light activity is there, first of all. And it's also impossible that it's there for any other purpose other than what I've shown. It is in conformity to the P.O.C. It's inside of the Chase Bank in Duarte. It's inside of the Chase Bank in Los Angeles, off of 1600 Vermont. It's inside of my office at Alvarado Gardens. Just a mirage of light appearing out of nowhere. And when I'm inside of the building, there's no sun inside. There's no sunlight reaching inside to create that. Your shadows are not appearing in front of you upright at a distance either, in the corners of walls and on the ceilings. All right, you're looking at a pattern amongst the facilitating venues that are calling themselves businesses. And United Rentals engages in an act of terrorism, a sex offense, while they are wanting to engage in what is, again, an act of intimidation and retaliation while group stalking, okay? Doing so on camera, doing so using a commercial means, doing so while knowledgeable of the fact that they're being documented. That impunity, that malice, that viciousness as a corporate actor and as a demon that's operating that commercial vehicle, that's what's being noted. And at 2:56 p.m. they are on surveillance cameras. Two males, wife beater shirts, ponytails in their hair, flip-flops on one with green shorts, and the other one wearing black basketball shorts and a long sleeve t-shirt, group stalking, walking right inside. All right, capturing what is United Rentals, who's walking in relevant positioning and, walking in, engaging in crossing a path and molesting with engineer light, because I'm talking about the methods of engineer light that I've captured inside of all the venues. License 9JHZ785, crossing path under the fake sun. That's an aged Caucasian male is what it looks like. And as he walks out, the entity subtly amplifies audible activity at the same time, monitoring me. Okay, monitoring while they're driving in and out. But I want to be clear, United Rentals, that's going to translate into a civil recovery. Okay, it's also a basis for federal prison. The government engages in ongoing terrorism. While you are exposing it, the government is engaging in what is ongoing criminal acts of obstruction of justice. This is what the ordinary target individual faces. And it's supposed to silence you. It's supposed to scare the bejesus out of you, okay? Because you seek to do so, it is a basis for federal prison. They go right on surveillance cameras. Everything that the employees of Fairfield by Marriott are engaging in, they're engaging in it, and it's all going to be produced to the federal government. They are going to federal prison. They're engaging in unofficial criminal conduct on behalf of a corrupt government, San Diego PD, San Diego Sheriff's Department. They're doing so while they're of a legally relevant condition. They're demons. That's why you have impossible light inside of their parking garage, light that is inexplicable outside of the fake sun. It's literally underneath the underneath a structure inside of a parking garage. That's going out of your way to make sure that everybody can group stalk. Everybody can engage in federal stalking. And your demons doing so. As a third-party innkeeper, you're a sex offender. All right? And that's exactly how you're going to be prosecuted while you provide rooms to sex offenders to engage in the state surveillance system. And while you engage in sexual violence, you engage in terrorism, you engage in psychological torture in doing so. And you do so with impunity. All right? So remember, all right, documenting again 9KHA951. I want to make sure that I get that license plate, and engaging in surveillance in the parking lot is 94563X3. This is also a commercial actor, so let me go ahead and get this real quick. It's 3:04 p.m. And the license plate of the one that I just read, the blue Mazda, this is a male who is engaging in the sex offense, molesting with engineer light, just like United Rentals, and monitoring on my phone with regard to turning the recording on and off when I haven't turned it off. The entity is engaging in that, and it's, again, these are the petty and very sophomoric games that the entity plays, and their prizes are federal prison and a sex offender that gets a record as a terrorist in the U.S., which is going to be recognized by the feds, domestic terrorism, and the broadening of that definition, because it's beyond the Oklahoma bombing. The domestic terrorists are the states. And they're engaging it with the constituents of the states, and this is a basis for recognizing that and the ways in which the public entity engages in that, and it's with the very people who use commercial means, such as, let me get the name of this business again, Crown Point Group Stalking. All right, you have the entity that's maintaining the light source in the same position that I stood at, that I shot it at 10 in the morning, 10:42. And as I stepped out at 12, it was right over my head. And I'm standing at the same position, and the fake sun is still over me. So I'm going to go ahead and capture that. And that's at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, where Crown Point is group stalking, engaging in surveillance. They're monitoring while the demons with their children are engaging in the pattern of conduct, molesting while they drive inside of the carport. And the impossible occurrence of the shadow of their vehicle is moving across the inside of that parking structure, where you're looking at a mirage, like a puddle of light that's on the wall inside of that parking garage, which is entirely covered. That's the demonic. It's as demonic as the fake sun all day long. It's as demonic as the amplified audible activity. Crown Point Systems is fully engaged in surveillance, monitoring while that pattern of demonic pacing and sexual violence is underway. Crown Point to be prosecuted as well for a sex offender. They're monitoring together while that sex offense, that violation of the person, is underway. You're monitoring, engaging in the elements of monitoring while the person is being touched. You're going to be prosecuted while you're sitting there group stalking, engaging in federal stalking together, sitting in the parking lot in that same environment, monitoring the target individual, listening to the evidence being collected, monitoring all my communication devices, trying to stop me from recording. Crown Point system, again, license 94563X3. And I'm going to capture a video right now of the fake sun that's over me in the same position it was not only this morning at 10:42, where you saw through the windshield of the vehicle that was parked in the handicapped spot. I walked out at 12:19 to show you on video at 12:20. The light source is in the same position over the top of my head when I'm standing at that same parking spot. Okay, license 9FJG875, a sleeper just stalking in the parking lot, now begins moving their vehicle. I'm going to capture video right now. Alrighty, stalking with audible activity is the third party who you see crossing path inside of the hotel room. As I spoke to the fact that my screen changes immediately, and that is the lying in wait conduct in order to stalk with activity creation. That's the white Jeep. That's license CW20E05. That's a paper plate. Group stalking, engaging in criminal activity with the entity that's stalking in helicopters, engaging in criminal summoning, engaging in what is the imposing and impermissible threat, group stalking with the employees of the venue as well. And again, these are an Asian couple, and it's license CW20E05. That's paper. All right, fully engaged in the pattern of conduct and using their vehicles as a means of ongoing stalking with activity. That's the mental illness of the demon possessed, while they continuously engage in their demonic behavioral patterns, even in the face of the evidence against them. Okay, that's speaking to the mental illness of the demon possessed. 8WNP773. They're all engaged in the P.O.C. As you saw that demon, as I documented Amazon Prime, as I documented FedEx, as I documented the San Diego International Airport, as I documented Falk Ambulance engaging in criminal summoning, as I documented the demon that was stalking in the SUV right in front of my window. And stalking in the path, engaged in Title 18 conduct while the entity was pacing back and forth in helicopter. All these license plates I'm about to document right now, this is the basis for federal prison. Every single last one, including the employee who I just captured on video. It's the same male that was on captured in images during the 3 o'clock hour. License 8RRY150, that's amplification. DM45P71, that's paper. License DMIN233, 07268RF, that's Michigan. 9LCR328. 678Z34, that's Nevada. The demon that you see getting at the Caucasian male with the bearded face, getting out of the Crown Point the Crown Point Systems commercial vehicle, license plate 94563X3. He's captured in images. He's still present, engaging in group stalking, going to federal prison. Okay, 349W07, crossing path on video, sitting in the vehicle in the parking lot right now, engaging in surveillance, going to federal prison. License RRYQ64, Florida. 559Z93, Nevada. 9LTV038, 7933 handicap. 33418K3, moving around in the parking lot. When you saw the tail end of a white van, this is that license plate. It was 33418K3. They were monitoring and they're engaging in criminal surveillance. The operator of that vehicle going to federal prison for engaging in surveillance with the state that is at the same time stalking an American citizen, terrorizing, communicating a threat, acting with the criminal intent to obstruct justice, retaliating, doing so using helicopters, which is designed to psychologically torture and terrorize you. As an entity, they're thinking that they can tell you to shut up, make you shut up, scare you to the point to where you will be silenced. You go to federal prison for that. 79129Z1, federal prison. EM92190 is crossing path, doing so with engineered light, just like every other demon I captured on video. License 9NLT007 is one that was already here, group stalking. That third party that I just referenced before regarding the impossible light activity, that demon is just now arriving on the scene, to my knowledge. But again, my documentation is supplemental. That's an African-American female driving a jungle green Kia, and drives onto the grounds with the criminal purpose to monitor. That's why you have the impossible light activity. So the entity's engagement in the demonic pattern of conduct directly defies what it wants to suggest is a natural environment. It wants to suggest is within the imagination of somebody that suffers from some mental incapacity. It wants to suggest is not corrupt. It wants to suggest is not demonic. Everything about the pattern of conduct reveals the direct opposite, and it is also how you're recognizing intent and stalking. License 40101L2 and license plate 8XFG582. Crossing path and demons who are crossing path. That same exact conduct was resulting in engineer light appearing in the parking garages in the afternoon today. So they're engaging in the same group stalking conduct, and the entity is engaging in that conduct. I'm documenting right now crossing a path. That's distinct from the rest of these. I'm going to continue with these license plates, who are all bases for federal prison, because they were all present while San Diego PD, San Diego Sheriff's Department, that flurry of criminal activity, all of that impunity. You're not walking away with your freedom after that. You're all going to federal prison. 9LTV 038 79333 handicap. License 9CNF 301, 7UMC 395. License S6A1DNA, that's Vegas. And all the third-party license plates that I documented at the property adjacent to the hotel, I documented them, and that's the basis of federal prison too. They're all group stalking together. So if I need to read them again, I'll do that after I get these. 14901C3, 7G91220, 02218W1. 4TLZ 095. 89A RBM, that's Florida. Impossible light activity sits on the ground inside of the parking garage, just sitting in the middle of the driver where demons will drive in it. It's absolutely demonic because it is on its face, and absolutely impossibility that it would ever be there. How is it even appearing in the depths of a parking garage? That's how you know also that it's a statewide system. That's how you know the intent, not by a psychopath who looks to the left and right as though they're oblivious to your, that's revealing a psychopath. That's revealing the mental illness of the demon possessed, contrary to what the entity wants to suggest, that it's suggesting that you're imagining it. It actually, when you're looking at the environment, then you're reconsidering what the entity is revealing. It's revealing malice. It's revealing mental illness by the entity, and speaking to very specific intent to maliciously keep one under surveillance and psychologically torment. 6YBL930, 576U31, Nevada, 9KHA951. HWA 2725, that's Ohio. 8FQD 423. 9MIR 611. SRG 0648, that's Texas. This is crossing path in the parking garage monitoring. 973U77, that's Nevada. 7PWF 654. CWD 1834, Arizona. 9LNP 38909J3. 5SLV 940, 8KVB 661, 9FVM 629. And recall, they were all monitoring with that demon that sat right in front of my hotel room, maintained stationary presence, did not move, did not fidget one iota while she was engaging in criminal facilitation with Amazon Prime, with FedEx, with the San Diego Police Department, with Falk Ambulance, the entity that was engaging all manner of threatening you, group stalking you, engaging in the terrorism via their demonic behavioral pattern. And that entity that is engaging in that criminal conduct and then driving off, it's all imputed to the entity that's group stalking with that third party. That female that was in alignment in the parking lot, stalking with the method of light activity. 9MSJ232. This third party is crossing path, distinct 7DHX984, not a part of the population who's going to federal prison because of the impunity with which I just documented the pattern of conduct, stalking with the San Diego Police Department, the San Diego Sheriff's Department. 9MSJ232, however, federal prison. License 360 UTB. License 3STA 312. 7MEV 343. Driving a white van, license 93707R2. License 79148M1. 8NJS 441. 9. These are all third parties that are all living in relevant position around the property, and the fake sun is still here. The entity was flying all around in a helicopter. They were all monitoring together. The population engages in that. You have hundreds of people that belong in federal prison. License 9DEW546, 8WCK149, 7XNC016. They're all engaged in federal stalking. Federal law provides that based on the circumstances regarding federal stalking as it's underway, will determine whether or not the severity of the crime. It does not get any more severe than state surveillance, conspiring to murder and kidnap American citizens. And you have, by the way, thousands, who knows how many. This has been going on for decades. Okay, the entity engaging what is extinguishing human beings and doing away with them, sitting around in facilities somewhere, kidnapped, drugged up, defamed, because they are engaging in this system. So you're talking about what is not too much to ask whatsoever and require and demand, and that is federal prison. Understand, I am the exception because I am standing up and articulating what they're doing, what they intend to do with stalking somebody in a helicopter. What I respond to with regard to demons who want to try to threaten me, I will put you in federal prison for that. They belong in federal prison because American citizens suffer this system and they take their own lives because of it. It's not a small thing whatsoever. They belong in federal prison, and that's why I'm documenting the population. License 7XNC016, 8KVE 967, 9GVH 822, 70496K3, 9KRG 265. All right, just walking up and down the street. It's more, but I'm just go up the street, and I'm also going to capture the fake sun right now at 6:49 p.m. All right, capturing the specific environment where the entity is indeed stalking in helicopters, engaging in terrorism and psychological torture, which is the basis of federal prison when you do so with the state acting directly, specifically using the hallmark of terrorizing American citizens, stalking in helicopters. 9EFE395, 7HJF767, 8WTY691. And they sit in the leisure of their third-party facilitating venues, their address where they pay rent or pay or whatever it is they pay, a mortgage, and you're not under having any shelter from prosecution. I'll prosecute you by your address. It's in relevant position. 9KZV011, 7SEM385, 8BDS792, 8MTD586. And remember, this is just the entity that's present. You got demons that probably don't even have a car, group stalking inside of their facilitating venue where they live. And I'm mindful of that. License plate. Group stalking, looks like stalking in the path with light. 40101L2. Yeah, that was a demon that was crossing path, trying to take shelter, running away. Group stalking using that white truck. Yeah, that's the third party that's crossing path right now. They live in relevant positions. That's where they live. That's federal prison. Even though they were crossing path after the entity was stalking a helicopter, the entity is still stalking a helicopter right now. But I'm specifically speaking to punishment for the video evidence that I just captured inside of my hotel room. 7PPX309, 9LQZ595, 9MQG530, 8YVK347, 7ZXD527, 9NHR603, 8TXN129, 9JIM801, 7PDH636, and DJ49F04, that's paper, and license 9GTP744. 9LYD197 is crossing path. Crossing path right now, so that is distinct. But this demon looks like they live in relevant position, P.O.C, and using their placement, living in relevant position as a means to cross path, but they don't even necessarily live there either. These demons just, everybody becomes friends too. They're like, hey! Very often I've seen demons that they don't know each other. They immediately become friends. Hey! And you know what that hey is? It's audible activity. All right, so anyway, nonetheless, you don't have to divulge into those details. It's a lot of it is not even relevant. And not even that, it's not necessary. Moreover than that, it's not even necessary. But I have witnessed, and this is the reality, this is what you're confronted with. You're dealing with a bunch of the demonic. You're dealing with the demonic. And so it's entirely wicked. And you're talking about gang conduct against one person. And so what the entity gets lost in, you're lost in your delusional universe thinking that somebody has to prove that you were there first and you're not a gang stalker. That's not what that's about. You don't even understand what you're doing and in the ways in which you can be prosecuted. You will be prosecuted under existing law, right? Because perhaps you don't have the intellectual fortitude to fathom the ways in which you can prosecute gang stalking by government. All right. And because it doesn't take high intelligence, obviously, when you engage in groupthink conduct, when you engage in gang-like conduct, all right, which is just nothing other than bankrupt and immoral. Pacing, 8DZV272, Caucasian female, in the demon group stalking outside of my hotel room with the Sakut vehicle, license 28063X3. All right, they're pacing together. All right, and he's going to federal prison. The demon that you see on video and screen images molesting me driving the United Rentals vehicle. He's got a ponytail in the morning, wearing orange and khakis. He's wearing a wife beater in the afternoon. He's molesting me, engaging in a violent sex act with demonic method of engineer light, doing so because of my iteration of the facilitating environments that I've captured in the venues of Courtyard by Marriott, Town Place Suites by Marriott, Courtyard by Marriott in Las Vegas, the Best Western in Costa Mesa. As I'm running down that very damning list of evidence speaking to a pattern of conduct by the state, that demon drives by in the United Rentals vehicle and is engaging in a sex offense via directed light. And he's going to federal prison. So just want to speak to that too. And he's fully captured, his image and captured, and his access to the vehicle is captured. All right, license. This is demonic pacing 349W07, who's going to federal prison. That's a male, Latino male driving that vehicle. So it is currently 6:54 p.m. and I'm also going to show the impossible light activity inside of this parking garage. All right, you're looking at evidence of a Asian female engaging in the sex offense, demonic terrorism, with a minor child, license 9KUG303. With the people of the state whose license plates I also recited, an impossible light moves all around inside of the parking garage, and she's also going to be removed from her child, separated from that child, who she's using to engage in the elements of monitoring, while this demon, license 25857X2, the same overweight, double chin, pot belly, demon-possessed group stalker that was engaging in a sex offense, drives in because they know what I'm documenting. They're driving through the engineer light and inside of the depths of a parking garage, and engineer lights moving all across the ceiling because I'm documenting that sex offender who's on surveillance camera with a minor child with license plate 9KUG303, not different from that sex offender driving the silver truck, not different from the sex offender monitoring him inside of my hotel room this morning while the fake moon is in alignment to my hotel room wearing the ponytail, and then molesting while driving the United Rentals truck, group stalking with the demons who are in access of children, custody of children, using them to cross path, using them to create light activity, and then engaging what is more sexual violence, more terrorism, while you document the fact that they're sex offenders engaging in sexual violence with children. Okay, that's criminal conduct that third party going in with that license plate is engaging in, and she's group stalking on the surveillance cameras, and that criminal presence is a document on surveillance cameras right now. It's P.O.C. So I don't want you to see those terrorists that are engaging in that conduct and then faced with more terrorism as you incriminate yourself in that environment and group stalking with minor children. It's currently 6:58 p.m. You're going to see P.O.C. All right, it is currently 7 p.m. and I'm capturing the still images, what is group stalking inside of the venue of the Fairfield Inn, and the demons are sitting at a table for purposes of crossing paths. Group stalking as an employee checking in another third party with specifically the third party with the minor child who's engaging in the terrorism via directed light, engaging in what is group stalking with children, and doing so with the government that's group stalking with children. Understand that's what the state does. That's what the demons of the San Diego Police Department and the demons of the San Diego Sheriff's Department are engaging in. When you're looking at them smiling with them, they engage in criminal activity with children. Okay, and that's what is represented in these images in the specific environment where a child is a means of crossing path, child is a means of light activity, child is a means of audible activity. That child is being abused under federal law with the people of the state who are a bunch of sex offending demons who are criminally surveilling another and who are a threat to that child while they're including them, employing them in the pattern of conduct. And as you document, you have terrorists whose license plate I recited, the same demon who's molesting and engaging in that sex offense using engineer light. This is a demonic methods of sexual violence by an entity keeping you under surveillance, and doing so with regard to creating that light show at the moment I start documenting that sex offender in access of a minor child. Okay, and that third party that's in custody of that minor child is going to be prosecuted for that. All right, because the entity is acting together. They engage in criminal acts of retaliation and terrorism together, and she is group stalking at the desk while the third party employee is group stalking right along with them. So I'm walking inside and I'm capturing what is relevant positioning. Group stalking sitting at the table. You can see this male, he's engaging in federal stalking. They all know what I just went around documenting. The demons sit around watching, and then they continuously engage in more of the P.O.C. They do so while they are literally tallying up for themselves an epic prosecution. All right, so this is criminal presence, which is maintaining presence in the path as I walk through the lobby and capture them in images. And so this is what I'm capturing, and you'll see it at 6:59 p.m. after I'm walking in. And this is, again, group stalking at the computer lab, group stalking at the table as I'm walking by from the parking garage where I'm capturing this demon in custody of a minor child, group stalking with the employee as opposed to the lawful operation, legitimate operation of a business where you're checking in a guest, where you're engaging in a legitimate business, where you're engaging in private activity, free activity. You're not free to do any of this. This is the malicious pattern of conduct. MARRIOTT Bonvoy, Fairfield is a facilitating venue. State surveillance is underway here, and the employee's going to federal prison. You're talking about what is removal from this child from the custody of the people of the state. Who's using her to engage in the elements of monitoring. And then I'm subject to more terrorism and harassment while those demons who know that you're documenting them immediately follow. While this demon with the child walks out into the building, she's still monitoring me, and she's monitoring while another demon drives in and engages in all manner of demonic show of light activity all across the ceiling inside of that parking garage, while that engineer light sits on the ground inside of the depths of that parking garage. And that is anticipated documentation that they come in order to terrorize and harass with, thinking also, the demons also do so thinking that you're going to be distracted like I am some hamster and I'm going to, look over there, and I'm not. The demon that's in custody of that minor child, she's losing custody of that minor child. She's fully engaged in the communication of that threat. She's of that same psychotic mind state of the demon driving that pickup truck, engaging in that episode of the pattern of conduct, terrorizing through your demonic demonstration while you're engaging in terrorizing somebody, and you are worthy of a straitjacket. And that's why they're getting mental examinations. That's the same threat to that minor child who's using one to engage in monitoring me. Okay, and she walks right in and is on surveillance cameras. And again, her license plate, let me capture her license plate, is again license 9KUG303, and is group stalking and monitoring me while the demons are pacing in and out of the parking garage. And then I document her specifically. She walks out. You can see the light source in alignment to the parking garage, which is impossible. All right, it's impossible light activity. It's the evidence of a demon who has custody of a child. These are closeted psychopaths, sex offenders, and stalkers engaging in criminal surveillance, and they have children. They have custody of children. Okay, so the mindset of a sex offender, it is no mystery. While you have things such as child trafficking, do you know who's doing that? I've referred to them legally as the people of the state. These are demons that sacrifice children, that have sex with children, that sexually molest and violate children, that employ children in criminal activity. That's what the people of the state are. They're demons. That's a threat to this child, and the government poses a threat to the child while they're using them like we're in some third world country. You're teaching them and including them in this criminal system. The conspiracy to murder and kidnap people, you're including them in that. Yes, she's losing custody of her child, and she's fully engaged in that act of terrorism that I'm subject to. And you're looking at the images of impossible light activity, the evidence of the threat that she poses to that child while she's group stalking with that child. Okay? That child's engaging in what is terrorism. Because her mother, a demon-possessed corrupt actor who's a threat to herself, that child, and American citizens in this country, all right, is engaging in the pattern of conduct. And then another demon follows to engage in terrorizing me further, which is going direct. It's imputed to her and everybody else. All right, the employee is captured. He's group stalking. That's presence in the path while I walk back into the lobby, including this demon in custody of that child, the demon group stalking at the table. He's a white male with a black hat on and a black shirt. He's group stalking on surveillance cameras, and this is captured at 6:58 p.m. Group stalking an Asian male with a minor child in a black t-shirt, in operation communication device, group stalking by maintaining presence at the computer lab at 6:59 p.m. as I get on the elevator. The entity occupies the elevator as a method of crossing path, maintaining presence. And so while I have that extra time, the entity likes to engage in, not only is it for purposes of monitoring, the demons like to forever, they still think it's a good idea to give me time to go ahead and document more people, because that's exactly what I do. When they engage in stalking and harassment as a demon-possessed entity, stalking, tracking my every step, occupying the elevator right before I get on it, hopping on the elevator because they want to stalk me on the elevator, and maintaining presence all around, engaging in lying in wait conduct by stalking in the parking lot, sitting in their cars, just group stalking, waiting for engaging activity creation by starting their vehicles and driving off in their vehicles. That's absolutely psychotic. That type of mindset is what has custody of children, okay? That third party who's group stalking with a minor child on the surveillance cameras, and the third party that's in custody of a minor child at the computer lab. In other words, the people of the state in general, as I prosecute them, you're talking about what is removing the people of the state who are children engaging in this criminal conduct because their parents have made them terrorists and sex offenders and group stalkers, which is abuse under federal law. That's exactly how it's going to be treated. The threat that you are to those children. This is what the government poses, by the way, because the government relies on children engaging in the pattern of conduct. That's how pathetic the San Diego Police Department is. That is how antithetical to what they want you to think they represent. They don't represent any of that. Neither does the demon-possessed and corrupt leader, Todd. I believe his name is, let me get this demon's name. Let me get it correct again. This corrupt leader, yeah, Todd Gloria. This is a demon. He's a threat to children. He sits and takes pictures with them. He's a corrupt leader, and he acts with the intent to literally, I would say, morally maim children in order to mutate their mind state so that they will be trained and conditioned to engage in this corruption, which an entity, a corrupt government actor, is fully engaging in and is facilitating and enabling to continue, which is why you have the appointed corrupt leaders that are under his tutelage, under his leadership. They're being appointed. That's not a coincidence. You have a demon-possessed and corrupt mayor in San Diego. You have a demon-possessed and corrupt fire chief in San Diego. You have a demon-possessed and corrupt chief of police in San Diego. You have a demon-possessed and corrupt sheriffs in San Diego. Okay, it's the pattern of conduct, and every head of these departments are to be removed. They necessarily need to be removed. What the population, who are the people of the state, are revealing, they're speaking volumes about the leaders. They're speaking volumes about the leaders. This pattern of conduct, like I said, it continuously points out what is wrong in San Diego County, what is wrong in the state of California. And it is in conformity to the pattern of conduct. It's currently 7:08 p.m. Everybody that I documented, with regard to the third party that I'm documenting, and let me specifically document that again, because she is engaged in the P.O.C., but I do not believe her vehicle is there. She's not a part of the crime scene. She is. Remember, this is an entity. So because you arrive later, it's not chronologically based. All right. But I'm focusing on those that were a part of the crime scene, literally, while the entity that was represented at this venue with regard to going to federal prison. Okay. So this demon with the license plate that's using a minor child to engage in the P.O.C. She is joining the crime scene in order to engage in criminal conduct with the state, staying at the hotel, engaging in criminal surveillance. And her license plate, again, which is a basis of federal prison, it's impunity. It's employing a minor child. You go to federal prison for including children in the pattern of conduct. I want to point that out. But as I'm making a distinction with an effort to be precise regarding what I'm documenting, what punishment is fit, I'm trying to be consistent and show you that. With regard to the grounds of federal prison, it applies. Where you engage in the pattern of conduct using children, you're going to federal prison for that. You're removing yourself, the federal government is removing minor children from your custody because of that. All right. And a part of what is the routine pattern of conduct regarding the people of the state, a routine aspect of that prosecution is going to include, not only are you prosecuted, now we're going to permeate your lives. If you have any minor, like any other sex offender, now that you're a convicted sex offender, a terrorist, a domestic terrorist, you are not allowed to have custody of your children outside of supervision, for example. You have a lot that you have to establish before the federal courts before you can have access, if you can have access again, to your minor children, who you are a threat to, or who you employ and or who you employed in the criminal pattern of conduct seeking to conspire and to murder and kidnap an American citizen. This is with regard to the entity that is routinely engaging in what is this fake American society regarding what is free society. It's not free whatsoever. These are a bunch of psychopaths on the loose that need to be prosecuted, and so that under the law they can be recognized as the threats that they are. They're walking around ticking time bombs that have not been labeled that in the ways that they need to be labeled. Okay, this is danger. You have more warning regarding what to suspect when sex offenders are identified, domestic terrorists, and then it's not so, unforeseen. It's not so unexpected. It's not so quote unquote senseless when it's reported on the news that a documented domestic terrorist is shooting up buildings. Because the pattern of conduct is fully exposed. And so you're talking about covering a lot of ground. People who need to be identified under federal law, they, contrary to the targeted individual, need to be reviewed and studied and observed under federal laws with regard to making sure that terrorists are engaging in conduct that's not threatening the lives of American citizens. They're the ones that need to be monitored by the government, not the targeted individual. So the entity is doing so, and I just want to make sure. Again, license plate 9KUG303. This is an Asian female, and she's in custody of a minor child whom she is engaging in the criminal pattern of conduct, the specific environment. She's group stalking with the rest of the people of the state, all manner of demonic light activity while she's just walking around with her kid, and group stalking, monitoring somebody else, threatening the life of another. And that's the luxury with which Americans are threatening the lives of other, that's the luxury with which the people of the state are threatening the lives of American citizens who are being targeted by the state. All right. And that's an absurdly level of imbalance, and that needs to be rectified. literally. So not only are you not secretly engaging in this criminal system, you will not under any circumstances walk away without that criminal record that needs to be attached to your name. And that's what the prosecution, the P.O.C, serving for identifying thousands and thousands of people who pose a threat to the safety, to the lives of American citizens, no matter where they go in this country. They can go wherever they want, but that criminal record is for the safety of American citizens. And you won't be caught off guard with regard to where they're going and what they might likely engage in, because their mental illness is public information. Their mental illness is public information. In the times that we're in, it's absolutely necessary that that be known, because it's going to become worse. It's going to worsen. It's going to be worse and worse with regard to the aggression of this mental illness, as it is literally it's their condition, which is demon possession. There's no medication that can solve. It's nothing but the Lord Jesus Christ. Okay. And so that's what the federal prosecution for federal group stalking and monitoring serves. It's to identify those who pose a real-time threat to American society. While this system is underway, a corrupt government relies on the lawlessness, relies on the mental illness of a population to target American citizens. That needs to be known. It needs to be something that is rectified, and it's nothing other than maintaining a list by the DOJ regarding domestic terrorists. And domestic terrorists, you're talking about a state full of domestic terrorists in California and Nevada. All right. It is currently, I just wanted to go through that. That's what I captured in still images. And it is currently 7:13 p.m. on August 20th, 2024. And all of this pattern of conduct that I captured, what I captured on podcast number 1, every license plate that I documented, that is the grounds of federal prison, because they were engaging in state surveillance with an entity, a corrupt law enforcement agency, stalking in helicopters. When you engage in the pattern of conduct with these corrupt terrorist organizations who abuse their positions to engage in criminal acts of obstruction of justice, this is kidnapping upon federal group stalking and monitoring. This is murder upon federal group stalking and monitoring. It's unlawful taking of a life. When you're engaged in federal group stalking and monitoring, and an American citizen loses their life while you don't even have authority to be present, bearing weapons as though you're some legitimate law enforcement, you're not. You don't, and you're not. And so you're talking about what is murdering people, and then you have the corrupt courts that are letting them get away with it. And you're talking about all manner of distractions. Talk about things such as Black Lives Matter, or we don't have enough training, or we need to give them more discretion regarding the decisions that they have to make in that moment. And we can't be there to tell them what they should do. They're the trained professionals. They're not trained. They are not professionals. They're corrupt in California. This entire system is corrupt, and it is built to enable this public corruption that starts with these demons who are terrorist organizations, not law enforcement agencies. This entire system is built to enable its existence. That needs to change. And it will start with moving all the heads of these departments, removing all the corrupt government leaders who are placing these people in these positions, and placing the people of the state in the medical facilities that they need to be placed in, and in federal prisons where they need to be placed in, with the criminal records that needs to label them, so that you can see warning, whatever state they move to, wherever they're at. Okay, so it is currently, again, 7:15 p.m. and it is August 20th, 2024. The entity is maintaining the perpetual sex offense. The P.O.C, as I captured today, this is nothing other than an ongoing sex offense, criminal surveillance while I remain inside of my hotel room. And the entity is doing so while engaged in criminal monitoring, group stalking in the most pathetic manner ever. Okay, you're group stalking in traffic. You're group stalking sitting in the parking lot. You're group stalking while you're a janitor. Goodness gracious, you are a janitor, and you're not even focused on being a janitor. You're group stalking somebody. I mean, it doesn't get any lower than that. Okay, but it doesn't matter if you are a sheriff over a corrupt sheriff's department. You're supposed to be doing something high and noble and honorable, and it doesn't get any more despicable and nauseating than being a demon who was group stalking while holding that position that you are unfit to hold. It doesn't get any more despicable than that. All right. And so I just want to be clear. There's no honor amongst these demons. There's no distinction either. The janitor is on the same debased level as the demons that are sitting in these positions of leadership. You're only imagining, well, you're not imagining, you're only deceived by the appearance of some earthly title or label or income level or a badge, okay, or position, as opposed to somebody else that's making $25,000 a year. Or, I mean, you can't even survive off of that nowadays. So let's say for a base, let's say $40,000 a year. Okay. There's no difference though. This is what I'm saying. It's superficial. There's actually no difference. What separates us are those that walk in darkness. They walk in utter darkness. Okay. They walk in darkness. Satan has a chokehold on them. They are literally slaves to darkness, to wicked, and they are currently holding government positions. This is occurring on their watch because that is literally their condition, and this is criminal activity that's occurring on their watch, and they are worthy of being federally prosecuted for it as well. You're not different from terrorists from across the globe. You're not different. You're masquerading as somebody that has authority that you don't actually have, abusing the constitutional provisions that exist for you to have that authority, to have that position. You're actually abusing it, twisting it to your own advantage while people are losing their lives and their freedom, their liberties. All right. That's worthy of a federal prosecution, and it's not ambiguous. It's not vague and too broad. It's not unconstitutional to prosecute under federal law. It's actually justice to do that because the government that is given a lot of authority, which has been entrusted to it, is now hereby being revealed abusing it. And when you hold those positions, you are fully qualified, a candidate for a federal prosecution upon federal group stalking and monitoring being exposed. It's not unconstitutional at all. Okay. And it's not far away. Karen Bass. You have this demon that is the corrupt mayor over San Diego, who's appointing demons to be in the positions that they hold. He's a state actor, and so is every corrupt leader engaging in what is stalking around in a helicopter like every other demon-possessed and corrupt agency. I cannot make it up. I came to San Diego and I documented the exact same P.O.C. Okay, so you're witnessing what's going to be a systematic removal of corrupt leaders in the state of California, a systematic reversal for the corrupt acts that they have engaged in and presenting it as though that they were accomplishments under the law, that they were something that were serving the better good, and it could not have been farther from the truth. It's endangering lives of American citizens. It's enabling them, giving them more authority, which is a threat to American citizens while they abuse the authority that they had, because a lot of them are going to be removed. All right. Again, I remain subject to the P.O.C. in San Diego at 4345 Mission Boulevard. And a whole bunch of demons are stalking in hotel rooms. And they're maintaining an ongoing chorus, sex offenders, using children to do so as well, focusing on me, every word that I utter, everything that I'm going to upload to the internet, which is not stopping the prosecution, but I will document it because you're talking about going to federal prison even longer. And it's already a long sentence. I am speaking to till the very end, until the day that those demons were dragged in federal court. They never sought to cease engaging in this criminal conduct, which is speaking to the violence with which you engage in the sexual pattern of conduct of federal group stalking and monitoring. It speaks to the ongoing aggression, all right, that fills your veins, that with regard to your mental illness. No normal person that has a lot to lose. I'm talking about those that are in leadership positions. They're exposing themselves while the people of the state engage in the pattern of conduct. They're exposing the state. Remember, it's a pattern of conduct, not against Susie Q in room 360. Susie Q represents the entity. Susie Q is engaging in what is stalking with activity. Susie Q is under a fake sun. Susie Q is amongst impossible light activity. Susie Q is a demon that's telling on the demons of the San Diego Police Department, which is speaking to a pattern that every other department that I've encountered is engaging in. They're telling on themselves. They are all telling on each other. All right. And when it comes to federal prosecution, they're all going to be pointing fingers at each other. There will not be this camaraderie, this teamwork that they would like there to think that there is now, because the state can't protect the people and the people definitely cannot protect the state. It is currently, which they are the state. This is the state acting directly and vicariously. Understand the analytical framework. Anyway, it's currently 7:20 p.m. and I remain subject to the P.O.C. That's my point. All right. It's August 20th, 2024. Third-party facilitating venue Fairview by Marriott in San Diego, where you saw the fake sun for the duration of the day. Duration of the day is speaking to something between 10:42 in the morning after 6:30 in the evening. Yes, that qualifies as duration of the day. And even as I went from this venue and returned back, you saw the pattern, which is outside of the nature of the sun, what the sun would be ever, but also speaking to what the entity is revealed as engaging. You're nothing but a bunch of demonic stalkers, even as I go to the state venue of the San Diego Police Department. Shows you where the demons who are wearing badges, where they dwell. It is currently, again, 7:21 p.m. and this is P.O.C.